anywhere from, 200,000 to it could be as high as 500,000 to even a million, right? By the end of 2028. And then the final target, I would sort of say, is what Bitcoiners call hyper Bitcoinization, right? Which is sort of where do we finally end up with this?
Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Finance. In this video, Fred Krueger discusses the Bitcoin, according to Fred Krueger. It seems that many individuals are eagerly anticipating the near-term future. People are eagerly anticipating the next cycle in order to gain insights and make informed decisions. Bitcoin operates in cycles, typically lasting 4 years. These cycles are characterized by a halving event, with the next one scheduled for 2028. This event often brings significant changes to the market. Many individuals are providing projections for our position by the conclusion of 2028, whether it be the end or the middle of the year. In 2028, Fred Krueger would say these figures are merely estimates, as expected. However, the amount could range anywhere from 200,000 to as high as 500,000 or even more. He aims to reach 1 million by the end of 2028 and then set his final target. So, what Bitcoiners refer to as hyper-Bitcoinization is quite interesting. So, where do we ultimately find ourselves in the distant future, perhaps 20 or 30 years down the line? It's hard to say for sure, but there are certainly many variables to consider that people casually mention are around $10 million or $20 million per Bitcoin. It does sound quite unconventional. Fred Krueger can understand why it might be difficult to grasp. Discussing the current value of something at 70,000 and suggesting it could potentially reach 20 million may seem far-fetched, but Bitcoin's volatility is truly remarkable, and lots of things Fred Krueger discussed, so please watch the video to end. And share this video and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance. Thanks.
Well, okay, so everybody underestimated the amount of demand for these ETFs. If you looked at the Bloomberg estimates for the total amount of funds that were going to come into these ETFs over the first year, people were saying it was going to be $15 billion maximum for the year. We've actually already had $15 billion of new demand for these ETFs. And the flows are way bigger than anybody expected. I would say than most kind of normal people expected. I was always very, very bullish on these flows because as a Bitcoiner, I realized how difficult it is for normal people to participate in Bitcoin. And this ETF really unlocks this entire asset class to an enormously wide audience. And so I knew that this thing was going to be a hit. And what does a hit mean? I think a hit means $50 billion in a year, right? That's kind of the number. And Standard Chartered, by the way, Standard Chartered had come up with that number. And everybody was ridiculing them when they came up with that estimate. And I think actually it looks a little low right now. So, the flows are going to increase. The past ETFs are not a great model for, figuring out how much flows that this is, because this is a different animal than, say, even the gold ETF. Right.
So you're saying we can't look at past ETFs for other commodities or assets and extrapolate what that could mean for Bitcoin ETFs? Why not?
Well, okay, so let's just take, for example, gold, right? The gold as an asset class has been around for, hundreds of years, right? And it's been in people's portfolios for hundreds of years. It's people own physical gold. I've owned physical bars of gold from before the ETF, right? So, you could buy gold. You can buy gold on Kitco. You can buy gold. You can buy coins, and you can. In Europe, there's a tradition of buying gold, and it's been around forever, right? Now, if you look at the total amount of gold that's sitting in the ETFs as a result of as a ratio of the market cap of gold, it's only 1.5% of the market cap of gold that's in ETFs. But we're already at 3.5% of the market cap of Bitcoin that's sitting in Bitcoin ETFs, just to give you an example, right? So, and that tells you that these ETFs are really a unique way of owning Bitcoin, right? So if you're a normal investor, you do not want to take self-custody of your Bitcoin. It's just too much work. And, you know, owning it through a proxy, like putting it on an exchange like Coinbase, is also risky, and not having it, you know, in a segregated account. So, you know, for various reasons, this is a very unique asset from this ETF wrapper makes it very, very easy to own. And for that reason, I think that it is fundamentally different from any other commodity ETF. And the other thing to mention is, you know, Bitcoin is a hot new asset. It's 15 years old, right? It already has a market cap greater than silver. It is the best asset class of the last 15 years in every year except for 2. Okay, in every single year. So it's a special asset. The story of Bitcoin is spectacular, you know, and people want to own this asset. And this, for the first time since January 11th, people can own this asset.
According to Bloomberg, there were predictions regarding the total funds expected to flow into these ETFs during the first year. Some individuals were speculating about the amount. It's expected that the total for the year will not exceed $15 billion. In fact, we've already reached that amount. There has been a significant increase in demand, amounting to $15 billion for these ETFs, and the cash flows are much larger than anyone anticipated, as Fred Krueger would say. Most ordinary individuals anticipate that he has always been extremely optimistic about these. Understanding cash flows became evident to me as Fred Krueger delved into the world of Bitcoin, where he witnessed the challenges that everyday individuals face. Engage in Bitcoin, and this ETF truly opens up the entire asset. He realized that this information was reaching a vast audience, indicating its widespread impact. To understand what it means to be a hit, let's delve into its significance. He believes a hit amounts to $50 billion annually. Indeed, that's the figure in question. It's worth noting that the Standard Charter was the source of this particular number. Many people were mocking them when they presented that estimate, but in my opinion, it seems a bit conservative at the moment. It is evident that the flows are expected to increase in the near future. ETFs are not an ideal model for determining the amount of flow in this context. Let's back to the Fred Krueger interview.
Look, I think everybody's targets for the halving are, you know, Adam Back, for example, who's referenced in the City white paper, right? He's referenced Hashcash. He has a target of 100,000 before the halving, and that looked a little high, I would say, a month ago, and now that's sort of looking maybe like it's not too high anymore. So, you know, I would say something in the 90,000 to 100,000 by the halving, which is only a month away, by the way. You know, that's sort of, I think, what most people are hoping for at this point. So that's the near term, right? The next sort of period that people are looking for is the cycle, right? So Bitcoin tends to work in 4-year cycles. There's a halving cycle. So the next halving is in 2028. So then there's a lot of people coming out with estimates for where are we going to be by the end of 2028, right? Yeah, or the mid 2028. And there, I would say, estimates are from, and these are just estimates, of course, but anywhere from, 200,000 to, it could be as high as 500,000 to even 1 million, right? By the end of 2028. And then the final target, I would sort of say, is what Bitcoiners call hyper-Bitcoinization, right? Which is sort of where do we finally end up with this? And that might be 20, 30 years out in the future. And, a number that people throw around there is, $10 million or $20 million per Bitcoin, right? So sounds crazy. I understand if, we're talking about something that's trading at 70,000 now and saying it could possibly trade at 20 million sounds insane. But Bitcoin is insane, so nothing about Bitcoin is what, matches a very steady, normal kind of thing. It's a crazy thing. And it doesn't, generally you will be wrong if you try to match Bitcoin to normal assets. You're going to be wrong, both on the upside and the downside, right? So it can go down more than you expect. It can go up way more than you expect as well.
According to Fred Krueger, the overall quantity of gold held in the ETFs, expressed as a ratio, it represents a mere 1.5% of the market capitalization of gold. That's in ETFs. But we're already at 3.5% of the market cap. Bitcoin, that's just to provide an example, sitting in Bitcoin, ETFs can be quite informative. It's worth mentioning that this can provide valuable insights. If you're interested in owning Bitcoin, these ETFs offer a unique opportunity to do so. As an average investor, you may find it burdensome to personally handle the custody of your Bitcoin. It can be quite labor-intensive and understandably so. Utilizing a proxy, such as placing it on a reputable exchange like Coinbase, is another viable option. It's quite risky, and it's not ideal to have it stored in a non-segregated account. Well, for a multitude of reasons, this asset is quite exceptional. The ETF wrapper simplifies the process of ownership, making it incredibly convenient. Fred Krueger believes that it is fundamentally distinct from any other commodity ETF. And another noteworthy aspect is the rising popularity of Bitcoin as a new and exciting asset. Are you 15 years old? It already boasts a market capitalization larger than that of silver. If you learned something from this video, then please like this video and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance, and we will meet in next video. Thanks.